Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel on this Friday. I am glad to be back here with you all. I've changed the setup a little bit, changed the angle. I'm sorry you're not seeing the table. I'll make sure that you see the cards, but I just felt the need with everything going on to send some, put up some more protective energy, divine feminine energy. Hope you like the vibe. And, I like to switch things up every now and again. Afefe means the wind, by the way. If you're new to the channel, I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. And Afefe, the meaning of my name is the wind. So I like to switch things up time and again. And I hope you enjoy the vibe and definitely receive the love and the energy that it's intended to send. All right. A couple of things Spirit led me to get into with you all today. And let's start out with Greenland, right? We know now that our European allies are starting to send troops for exercises, to Greenland. And we know there are lots of conversations with around Denmark with that. We know that there were conversations between Rubio and Vance with Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe representatives directly of Greenland. Did not go well. So everything we're being told is for right now, for this latest obsession. It's not like his little hand-me-down, Trump's hand-me-down of the Nobel Peace Prize has gotten him to settle down for a little bit. He's taken that and put it up on a wall somewhere, probably by now. That's just so unbelievably ridiculous, you all. And like, what does Machado think that she's really going to get out of that? Is that going to change anything? We know he said, Trump said ahead of time, had she given it to him and from the get-go, that she would now be the president of Venezuela. That was never going to happen. And the fact that she came here and handed it over to him, does she really think that that was going to change whatever he's what his plans are? Come on. We understand today that the CIA, whoever's in charge of the CIA in Venezuela is currently meeting with the interim president there to try and work some things out going forward. So I'm asking, starting out, let's get to it. Are we looking at front going forward to take over in Greenland? Let's get that out of the way, because then we know the repercussions likely with Europe, if this actually is heading towards a war with Europe. And then what Congress is going to do, because we're hearing a lot of congressional people, not a lot, but we're hearing some mumblings in Congress that are saying, that can't happen. We're not going to go to war with our European allies. We're not doing it. All right, Spirit. Is Trump, you know who I'm talking about when I say Trump, is Trump going to move ahead with his plans for Greenland, to take over Greenland? Is he going to move ahead with his plans to take over Greenland? Is that his plan? Interestingly, I'm using the Kev's Kipperish deck, Emotional Pain. That's his health. He knows his time is running out. Wow. And we've been seeing that. Spirit's been saying that for a while. He knows. He's known for some time now. Whatever his initial, his diagnosis, his recent diagnoses have been in regards to his health. He knows the clock is ticking. There's a pathway. He is planning to. That's his desire, is to keep moving toward that, the takeover of Greenland. And I also get, thank you, Spirit, for correcting me. I also get that is the emotional pain. That this pathway forward increases the emotional pain by the allies. The idea that the U.S. has actually crossed the line, the administration, not the American people, but the administration has crossed the line this far to actually go against the people who have, and the countries who have always been steadfast partners. A false narrative. That's what they're continuing to spread about why the acquisition of Greenland is necessary to protect U.S. interests from China and Russia. That's the false narrative. So yes, between the pathway and that false narrative, Spirit is answering that yes, Trump's plan is to continue to go forward with this. Now, I'm asking, will this result, Spirit, will this actually result in war with our allies? Are we on the brink of war with our allies? Abandonment, that speaks for itself, that the allies will feel, okay, you've abandoned all of the relationships that we've had. NATO is another question, the dismantling of NATO, but abandonment of anything that was ever done, and abuse, his abuse of power. Does this result in war? I'm feeling led to go to tarot now. Does this result in war? Or does this lead us to the brink of war with our European allies? Spirit, does this decision that he's making, or decisions to move forward on Greenland, does this take us to the brink of war with our European allies? We have the Seven of Swords, a lot of deception around that. I need to go further. Is this war with our allies? The Ten of Cups and the Six of Cups. No, I don't think so, you all. Six of Cups, we often talk about that as a card of nostalgia and looking backward on the history that we have with our European allies. And the Ten of Cups, there's some sort of momentum there that will build. I feel like this is NATO getting involved, and the Star. Okay, got it. I don't think so, y'all. I don't think that there will be, like, right up to the precipice of looking like a war may happen, but I don't think so. The Star looks really helpful and hopeful there. And with that Ten of Cups and the Six of Cups, there's something. Is this congressional intervention at this point, Spirit? Will Congress intervene and say, absolutely not, this will not happen, this cannot happen? We have the Hangman. So this is this is intervention. Let's assess, hold the horses, slow things down, talk to one another, talk each other off the ledge. With the Five of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles, absolutely. This is when people start getting around the table. European allies with the U.S., NATO gets involved. So I don't see it going to war, but here is what I'm feeling like one of the things that we've heard, increasingly is, we know he is terrified of impeachment. I'm going to get to that in a moment. But we've heard talk about, grounds for impeachment. Should he actually cross that line in Greenland, that would be enough, finally, that would be enough to get Congress, even, Republican members of Congress to go forward, to say, okay, we got to stop this guy. He's gone entirely too far. Time to consider the 25th Amendment, right? Spirit, will Congress go that far? Will this head towards impeachment even before? Because we know, and I'm going to get to that in a moment, we know that's what's going to happen when the House turns, right? After the midterms, he knows it's coming. He said it himself. Trump has said, if they get in, they're coming for me. Third impeachment. Spirit, if he moves forward on Greenland, and it looks like that's what he wants to do, is Congress going to move forward with articles of impeachment? Will this actually provoke articles of impeachment? Here comes the Magician. Boom, boom, boom. Somebody's going to craft it. Somebody's going to craft those articles and introduce them. All right. I had about 5 cards trying to come at one time. Can't do that. And the Devil. You got it, y'all. All right? You got it. The Magician and the Devil. No can do. He is literally banking, and he's high. Spirit is reminding me, he's on a little bit of a high horse right now, because he got those 2 senators to reverse themselves on Venezuela recently, right? On the War Powers Act in Venezuela. So we had an initial stop. Nope, not doing anything else militarily in Venezuela. went back and worked deals, got two of the senators to reverse themselves. And so he's on a high horse for that. Like, whatever I want, even if initially you're telling me no, Congress, I can come back and make you say yes. But the magician and the devil coming together, not that time. Not that time. Not when it comes to Europe. The stakes are way too high with Europe. And the U.S. does not want to become that isolationist to allow that to happen. So no. But that leads me to my next question then. We understand that some of the sales of this Venezuelan oil, 500 million is the figure that we're hearing, that at least a portion of that has now been funneled off into some offshore accounts in Qatar. Woo! Broad daylight, y'all. Broad daylight. Okay. Spirit, bear with me. Is he planning to flee to Qatar? Given impeachment, and if there's a move, articles of impeachment are drafted, he moves too far, Congress wakes up, which looks like they will. We saw that magician and that devil. Is he planning, is that money that was sent to Qatar, to the offshore accounts, is that because he's considering fleeing there? Health notwithstanding, right? If he's still around. But is that his exit strategy? Is he planning to flee to Qatar? Has he worked out a deal to flee to Qatar? Is that his plan? Is Trump planning to flee to Qatar? Page of Swords. Somebody's either suggested it to him or he has starting to have some conversations around that. Three of Cups. It would be him and others. I don't know if this is him and the family. Him and Milan. I'm not sure, but the Three of Cups feels like family. Or he's gotten some reassurances, and here comes my Ace of Wands. If you read with me, you've been with me on the channel, you know when I see aces, that's my spirit guide's way, and ancestors are telling me, yes, I'm on track. Aces are yes. So, yeah, he's had some conversations. Now, formal deal in place? I don't think so, because pages are pretty new. But it's the conversations are being had. The plans are being hashed, because he will not think about it logically. He gets impeached, kicked out of office. What does that mean, right? What does that mean? Does that mean that the cases, that Jack Smith is back at it, right? There's so many things waiting for him. The office of the presidency has been the only thing that's protected him. And I just got another ace, y'all. Back-to-back aces. We can sum this one up, I think. He's trying to make a deal. Part of the reason for sending this money to this offshore account, or accounts, there may be more, is because he's thinking ahead of time. He's already he always telegraphs what he's thinking. So he's talked about if the house is taken, and all indications are that it will be, he sees that coming, then he's already thinking, I know what they're going to do to me. I got to get out of here, right? So I'm not sure. I'm not seeing that Qatar has agreed to it necessarily, but they certainly agreed to allow the accounts to be opened, right? Woo! Interesting. Now, here we go. Next stage. He leaves. He flees. Gets impeached. He flees. Now we got JD in office, right? JD's got to get a vice president. Who is that? Technically, it's the Speaker of the House, I believe. Or I'm not sure if you all will let me know in the comments, if he then gets to appoint, or Congress has to then appoint a vice president. I'm not sure how exactly that would work, but here's what I'm wondering. Does JD, two cards just fell out. Does JD get impeached? Because on this Venezuelan situation now, Vance may not have been the one to set up these offshore accounts, but he and Rubio are in lockstep around. JD cast if I'm not mistaken, JD cast the break tie vote to strip away this stoppage of military action in Venezuela. All unconstitutional, right? All gonna be, ooh, what's that trying to flip? The Nine of Cups. This is a wish fulfillment card. I think that, because remember, Spirit has always said, if Vance gets in there, he's not going to be there for long, right? I've said it, I've read it, many others on the platform have read it, that if he gets in there, it almost doesn't even matter. It's like here today, gone tomorrow. Spirit, would there be an effort to also remove, or grounds to remove J.D. Vance when he gets into office? I tell you, Spirit is not playing. Ace of Wands. And you saw me shuffle. Ace of Wands, y'all. Because they've never liked him, and that was one of the reasons that Congress and even the American voting public, American voters, nobody really cares for Vance. So it's always been said that he would leave one way or another, but apparently, and the Three of Cups comes again. A concerted effort to unite around getting him out of there, because he will be deemed complicit as well. Spirit, am I getting that right? That it would be because of the role that he has also played in the takeover of Venezuela. Page of Pentacles, a lesser role, but a role nonetheless. And he won't be able to make up for that. And there's the Hermit. He will try to talk his way out of it. He will try to, bring some sort of framework of, I was following directives from blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, and I also feel like this is a lot of work on behalf of Congress to establish those articles, because at that point, think about it, you all, at that point, the country America's in upheaval. And that brings me to the last part of my reading today, which was, I kept hearing the term musical chairs in the White House. I kept hearing musical chairs. It's as if there will be, and remember, astrologically and otherwise, we have been seeing every sign under the stars, that this is going to be a tumultuous period in U.S. history, and specifically in regards to the government and government leadership. So there's this, I feel like they're showing me the Wheel of Fortune in tarot. Like there's this chip, 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 turn, musical chairs. And I think there's going to be some sort of, this is where Congress is going to have to step in a big way. And there's almost a total reconfigure. Spirit, is this going to require some sort of constitutional amendments? Because this will never have happened before. That's what I'm getting, we've never been here before. Are we looking at constitutional amendments by Congress with regard to leadership? Knight of Pentacles, that feels like articles. That feels like the Constitution. That feels like something produced, movement to produce amendments. With the Moon, how in the heck do they do it? And that is almost their greatest fear. Interestingly, what I'm getting from that, you all, is part of why there has been so much bending the knee and fear and trepidation is because they don't have another plan. The GOP, they don't have another plan. If this whole quadrant of folk, from Trump to JD to Rubio on down the line starts falling by the wayside, who is there to pick up the pieces? Right? Certainly not Mike Johnson. And I know some of you are going to say, well, he's speaker, he is in line, but really? Talk about musical chairs. That won't happen. And Spirit is giving me the Ace of Pentacles. Yes, we're on track there. There is going to be a really interesting shift in government. We will have government, certainly. We will have leadership, but this is going to require Congress to do something it has never done before. And Spirit's doubling down, y'all. You see me shuffling and pulling. Here's the Ace of Cups. Aces are wild today. All right? So that's a really interesting, I feel like on some levels, it has to happen. It is extremely chaotic on some levels, but it brings us back to something I'm not quite so sure that we would have to wait until 2028, midterms aside, that we will have to wait until 2028 to see a total reconfigure and perhaps the Dems retake the White House. I'm going to go back to the Kipper deck to close out the reading on that. Spirit, will the Dems retake the White House before 2028? Based on this upheaval, okay, too many cards fell out. Based on this upheaval, based on this shift that Congress is going to be faced with, will we see Democratic leadership sooner than 2028? Opposition, 2 cards came, hold on. Opposition and ascending, they will fight it tooth and nail. The GOP, they will fight it tooth and nail. Will there be someone like a Massey? I'm not saying Massey, but will there be someone like a Massey who has been oppositional towards this administration? Poverty and death magic. Yikes. Poverty and death magic. And a thief. I'm not so sure, you all. I'll never get on here and fake it with you. I'm not sure how that works. Because it almost looks like, I take this as so we saw that opposition a moment ago, that what the GOP will do is say this is ultimately an attempt by the Dems to steal the office, to retake the White House by any means necessary. That's the opposition. And remember, opposition came with ascending, meaning the Democratic Party taking back over. So there is tremendous opposition to that. And I guess that's one of those, like, as we get more in that energy, as things unfold, and if that's the case, if what we're seeing is what we're seeing, I'll definitely be looking into that more with you all. But for right now, definitely keep your eye on developments with Greenland. I know we're going to do that anyway, but I'm telling you, that is going to make Congress, that's going to put Congress in a vise, Spirit just said. Like I just saw a vise, like they have to stop him. Europe, what's happening in Latin America, Latin or Central America is one thing, but when we get to our European allies, that is really going to be a shift, a game changer, and Congress will have almost no option but to do something. And then if that leads to impeachment, and then that leads to him fleeing or whatever happens with him as a result of that front, then JD comes in. JD cannot hold the reins. He just cannot hold the reins. And then that sort of gets this cycle of change going. It certainly opens a window and presents an opportunity to the Democrats to make things happen sooner than 2028. But we just saw at that point, all hell breaks loose, and it's gonna be interesting. Energetically, you all, please take care of yourselves. I've gotten so many emails and comments. People are saying, I'm so tired. I get it. That's another reason why I put up more sort of warrior type energy, but also divine feminine, peaceful energy. She almost reminds me of, clearly African, clearly divine feminine, but also peaceful, like not stressed, not panicked, not we cannot allow ourselves to do that. Prayers, of course, to our fellow citizens in throughout Minneapolis and Minnesota in general, who are definitely ground zero right now for what is being, this attempt by Stephen Miller to get Trump to go ahead and employ the Insurrection Act. I will look closer at that in probably a next reading next week, but I'm already getting that. To bring the military in, like for real, if anything, I think that's going to tamp down some of this with ICE. That's what I'm getting. That's the guidance that I'm getting, because ICE, these are goons. These are Jan 6 goons, basically, and they are not in any way, shape, or form up to the task of facing the military. And the military, Spirit has also said for months that military leaders, etc., they are not going to attack American citizens. Their role is actually to put them in place, is actually going to diminish ISIS presence. But again, I'll look more into that a little bit later. Take good care of yourselves. Be safe out there. Remember, sky above you, earth beneath you, holding you steady, and soul within you, eternal, powerful, all right? Loving, protective. Keep that in mind. Thank you so much for being here. Check out my practical magic class coming up on February 15th. Love to have you there. Talk about all this, working the energy and keeping ourselves, keeping our resilience, etc. Using tarot as a tool to impact your energy and your focus to be able to stay centered is a lot of this teaching, and I'd love to have you there. Only $36. It's going to be a 90-minute class. It'll be recorded. You can go refer back to it. Had part 1, and which is also still available if you want to. It's not necessary, but also still available if you want to take it. But when I tell you energetically, it is making a difference. I've gotten some amazing feedback from people. I myself am doing this work. It is one reason why I'm able to come to you and still show up with my hair combed and some lipstick on instead of looking crazy. It works, y'all. So I would love to have you there. Check out my website if you're interested. trulytouchedbytarot.com. Information in the description box as well. But you can go to trulytouchedbytarot.com, look at the book online section, and you'll see the course coming up on February 15th. I'd love to have you there. Also, don't forget, I meet monthly live privately via Zoom with my YouTube membership. So if you'd like to become a member of the channel, I'd love to have you there as well. That information is also in the description box. All right, you all? That's enough for today. I'm going to shut my yap. I appreciate you. I will see you again really, really soon. Take care out there. Bye.